accident was what we would call a life-altering experience?
It absolutely was. It absolutely was.
Are you more spiritual?
Yeah, because for some reason I'm still here.
Yeah.
And, you know, for 45 seconds or a minute I wasn't here. And for some reason I got, you know, I got sent back.
Tonight on 2020 with Barbara Walters. The Hollywood heartthrob who made 90210 the hottest zip code in America. Suddenly, last summer, things turned ugly for Jason Priestley.
My nose was pushed so far up into my forehead they could actually see into my sinuses.
For the first time, he talks about the racetrack disaster that shattered his body and nearly ended it all.
There were no signs of life out on the track.
A gripping minute-by-minute account from his rescuers and the co-star who rushed to his bedside.
I said, Jay, it's Luke, wake up.
Has his brush with death changed his life? Barbara Walters on an exclusive ride with Jason Priestley to the ultimate finish line and back.
90210 became the most famous zip code in America, in no small part because of Jason Priestley.
Beverly Hills 90210. Be there, be a pineapple.
Beverly Hills 90210 was a hit television show, and Jason Priestley stood out for his boyish charm and his sex appeal.
You are a heartthrob, like I've been with so many women.
The charismatic actor led the life most teenage boys just get to fantasize about. Over the show's 10-year run, Priestley emerged as a certified leading man, together with close friend and co-star Luke Perry. Throughout the 90s, teenage girls decorated their bedroom walls with posters of Jason Priestley, and his picture adorned the covers of countless magazines. Last summer, he made the headlines again. This time, the news was devastating. Jason Priestley, professional race car driver as well as actor, was close to death after the worst crash ever seen on the Kentucky Auto Racing Speedway. When Jason woke up a day later, he had no idea what had happened to his face or even how he came to be in a hospital. A severe concussion had obliterated all memory of the accident.
It was really quite shocking.
Must have been horrific, wasn't it?
It was hard to look at.
Although today Jason's face looks fine, it has taken months of reconstruction.
There was a night when I was in the hospital when I sort of came to, I suppose, and I was looking around and I was trying to figure out where I was and how I'd gotten there and what had happened.
Both feet were fractured and his back was broken. The heartthrob looks were gone, and worse, Jason feared that he would never walk again.
I went through the mental checklist of, okay, all right, where am I? How'd I get here? I guess I must have had a bad car crash. Okay. Can I move my arms? Then I thought to myself, can I move my legs? And can I move my feet? Can I move my toes? Can I move anything? And we all know Christopher Reeve, and we all know people that have, you know, Sam Schmidt, who's a race car driver, who's a friend of mine, who's a quadriplegic. You know, we all know these people, and I was scared. I was really, really terrified that that was going to be me.
And for a while, it looked as though it might be. But Jason knew the risks. Racing at this level is a battle of endurance and nerves. Cars roar around a banked oval track within inches of each other. At speeds approaching 200 miles an hour, if the wheels even touch, the car can spin out of control. Or smash into the concrete retaining wall just feet away.
That's a big hit, guys. I'm glad.
Jason knew all too well how dangerous racing can be. He had been making at least part of his living racing cars for 10 years. But early on August 11th, just last summer, he was making a final practice run before the most important race of his life.
From what I understand of the accident, we were in a warm-up session before our race. And a car had blown its engine, and so there was fluid all over the track. And as is standard racing procedure, they put down a substance on
like kitty litter.
Like kitty litter,
See
exactly.
how much I know, aren't
You're
you
very
impressed?
good.
Yes.
You're very good.
Over the oil.
Yeah, and as we were going around the track in our warm-up, I guess that the car in front of me started to pinch down a little low, and I had to put two wheels on the quick dry.
What do you mean pinch you down?
he changed his line so he could move down the track a little bit, and as he came down the track, to avoid hitting him, I had to go down the track as well. And you know, I just touched up on the quick dry. It wasn't even a big thing. From what I understand, my entire wheel didn't even get on it. It was only a few inches of the wheel got on it, and it was enough to upset the car.
It was 8:30 a.m. as Jason banked into turn 2. Network television cameras weren't shooting the practice session, but Jason's car did carry a black data recording box, like those used on airplanes. His friend and racing manager, Jim Freudenberg, retrieved it from the broken car.
We could tell that by the time he hit the brakes, feeling like he lost control, to the time of the first impact, it was 0.8 of a second.
I mean, I was doing 182 miles an hour when I went in. It was a big hit.
The accident was unusually severe because Jason endured not one but 2 head-on collisions with the concrete walls. These pictures were taken after the first impact.
When he caromed off the wall, he was going 86 miles an hour. When he hit the second impact, which was probably 1/6 of a mile down the track, he hit it at 56 miles an hour.
Medical team leader Dr. Henry Bach saw Jason's car on the track surveillance camera.
The first rescue personnel were already on the scene. It happened right in front of a rescue truck, so they were there within seconds.
The rescue team was incredible. Not only were they responsive quickly, but everybody knew what to do, how to do it.
Fireman Alan Mullen watched the car stop right in front of his rescue truck.
One of the other guys pulled his helmet up, his face shield, and we realized he was very critically injured. He was not conscious.
Flight paramedics Chris Smith and Elizabeth Clark heard the track's emergency radio code.
We recognized it was the most serious code, which told us that basically there were no signs of life out on the track where they were extricating Jason.
It was pretty horrifying. I saw his eyes were open. He was looking right at me, but you could tell he was unconscious.
The first news team owner Tom Kelly heard was that Jason might not survive.
He had stopped breathing and his heart had possibly stopped, and that they revived Jason and at the same time stabilized these injuries, which if they didn't stabilize those, he dies.
They tell me that when they were pulling me out of the car and they pulled my helmet off, my nose was pushed so far up into my forehead they could actually see into my sinuses and look into my head.
He was not recognizable.
I didn't even know it was Jason Priestley.
He had 2 severe cuts on his neck that the arteries were spewing blood. They stopped that.
He was removed from the car and put on the gurney and into the ambulance, and was in the medical center probably within 4 minutes.
My initial impression was that he was close to death when he came in.
He had blood in his airway. He had an ineffective breathing pattern.
We quickly inserted an endotracheal tube into his airway to control his breathing for him.
We recognized that he was critically injured. We needed to go. I had the pilots go ahead and start the engines up.
En route, we continued to manage his ventilations, monitor his breathing, monitor his vital signs.
I was pretty skeptical that we could even make it back to the trauma center with him alive.
Just 28 minutes after the accident, Jason arrived at the University of Kentucky Hospital Trauma Center. Fearing the worst, family and friends gathered from around the country. Luke Perry, his friend from 90210, was there within hours.
He looked like hell. He looked like it was scary to me. And they felt if he would be able to recognize me, that would be a good sign that his cognitive skills were still there. And, you know, I climbed right up over the bed, and I got directly down where I could see into his face. And I said, Jay, it's Luke, wake up. And his eyes popped open, and it scared me because his eye, you know, Jay's got the blue eyes, but everything else around him was just red. His eyes were blood red, and I could just see down in the shafts of his pupils, and I said, Jay, what's my name? And he looked right at me, and he said my name. And everybody in that room, you know, I looked around, and they were all like, they breathed a big sigh of relief.
A day later, Jason was airlifted again to Indianapolis for surgery. It was then reported that he might never walk again. When we come back, exactly what condition is Jason Priestley in today? Will he ever race again, or is he done with living life on the edge? Jason Priestley survived his brush with death on the racetrack last August, but getting his life back on track has been a fearsome challenge. He faced the possibility that he might never walk or race or act again. But as we continue, you will see the impressive strides that Jason has made in less than 6 months. Jason, you walk with no effort, no limp, no effort.
No, walking is fine.
Even on pavement like this?
Yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah.
No problem at all. If I'm off my feet for a while, they start to hurt when I get back on them, but that goes away pretty quickly. And
Can you run?
not really.
So if I run like this?
You're going to get away from me.
Well, then I won't run.
All right.
How many operations did you have?
Well, I had the operation to repair the shelf that my eyeball sits on. I had the operation to repair my nose, I had my back. I broke my thoracic 9 vertebrae, my T9. And so they fused me from my 6th thoracic all the way to my 12th. Most of the bones in my feet were actually broken. That's been a very long and painful ordeal. I have 2 big scars on either side of my neck.
Oh, my goodness.
With my seat belts, you have one over each shoulder. They actually cut into my neck.
How was your speech affected?
My speech was affected badly. It was slow, and I could only get out maybe 2 or 3 words at a time. I sort of spoke like this.
So you thought you'd never act again?
Yeah, there was a period in time where I was absolutely terrified. I mean, I'm an actor. I mean, it's what I do, and I was really terrified for a number of weeks. I think maybe that's one thing that helped me to recover as quickly as I did, was that I was merely worried about what I needed to do to get better.
Jason celebrated his 32nd birthday in the hospital, where he stayed for 3 months, followed by weeks of painful physical therapy.
It's all I've focused on since the accident happened, is what I need. What do I need to do? And I used to just say it to my therapist, say, what do I need to do to get better? It's all I want to know.
How long is it going to be before you are totally healed?
It's going to be about a year. I wouldn't even think about getting back into a car at least until my healing cycle is finished with this accident.
What about ordinary driving?
You know, it's fine.
I want you to take me out in a car and
Okay.
see how you
Are
do
you
so
sure?
I can check them. No, I'm not sure. But, you know, it's my job. It's my
Okay.
job, so we'll go
You're
and
going to take
do it.
one for the team?
We'll take one for the team, yeah. So what's it like at 185 miles?
It's, it's obviously very different. And the thrill for driving race cars is to drive the vehicle to the absolute limit of its capabilities. I say we just get by these guys and get going. What do you think?
No.
Oh, come on. Let's get going. Let's just go by.
Up until we hear the sirens.
It was really fun until
Until the police came. What do you see, officer?
Officer, I was doing 35.
Jason has always loved driving fast and living on the edge. Even as a young man growing up in Vancouver, Canada, he was a risk taker. You did extreme things. I mean, you bungee jumped and you had motorcycles and...
Yeah.
I mean, you were always a daredevil, were you not?
Yeah, I was always, when I was 16, everyone else got a car, I got a motorcycle. I just wanted to live every minute. I was a rugby player, I was a hockey player. I love to challenge myself, and I love to compete, and I just love all that.
And from his earliest years, Jason loved another risky business, acting. His big break came at just 21 years old on Beverly Hills 90210.
Brandon Walsh.
Emily Valentine.
You got that great smile, that helped.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
You're very kind.
Yeah. By the way, none of your teeth were knocked out in this accident.
No, which is amazing, because
Nobody was going to touch that smile.
No, thank God. No, the amount of money this cost me, are you kidding? No. My 2 front teeth are actually fake because of playing hockey, and I've lost my teeth through playing hockey. And
that rebuilt smile helped put Jason on the fast track to Hollywood stardom.
You know, it's a Hollywood thing. We're going to Spargo.
You became a star. You had all these young women going, Brandon.
It did so much for me, that show, and it really, it's a wonderful thing to have that experience in your life.
But after 9 years, the thrill was gone. In 1998, Jason left 90210 to pursue roles in the movies.
I've worked very hard to give myself the opportunity to play other roles and to do other things.
Jason.
And since 90210, he has appeared in 7 movies, playing a range of characters. In his latest film, Die, Mummy Die, he was an FBI agent masquerading as a gigolo.
You can't discard me like one of your false eyelashes.
But he was also still involved in car racing.
My man, Jason Priestley, the dude himself. Race car driver, a big part of our coverage.
Jason did color commentary for the Indianapolis 500.
There's nothing that compares to this anywhere in the world.
But his private wish was to qualify to drive in the race. That dream came a step closer last year when he signed on for the Infinity Pro Series. He was finally racing in the open-wheel Indy-type cars.
You don't get to drive those cars just because you're famous. You get to drive those cars because you're a race car driver.
And he didn't just race cars. Jason's thrill-seeking extended to piloting 50-foot cigarette boats in dangerous ocean races.
But on the inside is Jason Priestley as they come up fast.
Anything that burns fossil fuels that is possible to be in competition, I usually show up.
Jason has crashed or spun out several times on the car racetrack.
Oh, my!
And once in a boat race. His restlessness turned to recklessness in a Los Angeles neighborhood.
So if I say to you, are you a daredevil? What do you say?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I'm a daredevil. I think that I like to challenge myself.
But you've had 3 accidents, 2 in cars and 1 in a boat, right?
Sure.
Don't say sure, doesn't everybody? I mean,
yeah.
You're a little accident prone, maybe.
No, I don't think I'm accident prone. I think, I think any time you're competing like that, whether you're racing cars or you're racing boats, I think that incidents happen. Unfortunately, me being me, you just heard about it.
But Jason, 3 years ago, you crashed your car, your
Yeah.
Porsche, into a Hollywood Hills, right?
Yeah, I crashed into a telephone pole.
So I swerved in the road to miss a deer, and I crashed my car. That's all.
Jason was arrested for driving while under the influence.
The fact of the matter is, I made a mistake. I'd had too much to drink to be operating a motor vehicle, and for me, it was a learning experience, and it was something obviously I needed to learn.
Jason spent 5 nights in jail. His driver's license was suspended for a year, and he had to complete an alcohol management program.
Do you consider yourself an alcoholic?
Do I consider myself an alcoholic? I'm not sure. I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
Do you drink now?
No.
You stopped?
I haven't had a drink in 10 months.
Were you ever tempted, or are you tempted now, to quit racing?
There was a time right after the accident where, had you asked me that question, I would have said, oh yeah, I'm all done. I'll never race again. But as the months go on and as the memory of what had happened recedes, I start thinking about getting back into a race car.
Oh, Jason.
But I don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize my ability to work as an actor. So if it becomes an issue where people will look at me when I say, yeah, I got to have this weekend off because I got to go race, all of a sudden it's going to become a big issue.
Yeah,
and
what about insurance for this guy?
Well, exactly, because as much as I love race car driving, I love being an actor.
Do you still want to race in the Indianapolis 500? The big deal?
I don't know if I would be able to take a car into the corners at the velocity that you need to compete in that race. It really changed a lot for me. I don't think you can go through something like this without being changed by it.
But nothing provided a more compelling reason to change his priorities than the realization of just how close he came to death last August.
As they were pulling me out of the car, I actually stopped breathing for a period of time, and then they put a respirator on me, and I started breathing again.
So
Thank
for
God.
a moment or two, you were...
Yeah, for about 45 seconds or a minute, I actually checked out.
You were dead?
Yeah.
For 45 seconds.
Yeah. It's kind of scary, isn't it?
Are you more spiritual?
Yeah, because for some reason I'm still here. Yeah. And, you know, for 45 seconds or a minute I wasn't here, and for some reason I got, you know, I got sent back.
But you don't
I
remember
got returned.
that period. So this accident was what we would call a life-altering
It
experience?
absolutely was. It absolutely was. I think that the whole experience just forced me to grow up, and it forced me to mature in a lot of ways that I hadn't matured before.
The devil is not racing cars for you, is it?
No, no.
And you may indeed get in that car again.
Yeah. You can see the smile it puts on my face just thinking about driving a race car.
Oh, Jason, just think about it a little more, please. We'll be right back.